He came from beyond galaxies, not to conquer, but to correct a mistake Superman made on day one. Metropolis fell in seconds, not from war, but from whispers that turned heroes into slaves. Superman didn't see the trap until it wore his father's face. And when the alien Godfather spoke, even death forgot how to interrupt him. This wasn't Earth's final war. It was the universe's first trial. The sky didn't crack. It whispered. At 3:07 p.m., over Metropolis, birds stopped mid-flight. A ripple passed through the clouds. No sound, no light, just a moment where everything forgot to move. A child dropped his ice cream, and it floated before it hit the ground. Then came the voice. Not a boom, not thunder, a father's tone. Kal-El. Superman looked up from orbit, hovering above Earth's upper atmosphere. He felt the voice, not in his ears, but in his bones. It said his Kryptonian name with more familiarity than his own mother, more weight than Jor-El ever held. Within 5 seconds, every satellite pointed the same direction, at the tear in space opening just beyond the moon. Not a portal, not a ship, something more ancient. A vertical slit of blackness where even light hesitated. And from it he stepped through, the alien Godfather, not in armor, not with weapons. Barefoot, robed in silence, eyes that blinked sideways, skin made of gravity, like staring at a collapsing galaxy wearing human shape. He did not announce war. He walked. One foot touched lunar dust. The next step landed him in the Hall of Justice. Security systems didn't trigger. The door just opened, like a memory it had long forgotten. Green Lantern stood first. "Identify yourself," he shouted. The being turned. No attack, no movement. Just one sentence. "You remember your father, don't you?" And the ring fell. Jordan's hand dropped limp, tears streaming. He collapsed, whispering something only he could hear. "Dad, I'm sorry." Wonder Woman moved to strike. Lasso in hand. Heart steady. Truth on her side. But the alien Godfather looked at her, and her mother's face appeared behind his eyes. She knelt. Flash tried to run. He disappeared. But not forward. Not backward. Just out. Aquaman vanished beneath his own shadow. Cyborg systems shut off. Batman? Gone. Only Superman remained. He descended into the hall, cape still crackling with solar radiation, fists clenched so tight the air screamed. "You came to destroy," Superman growled. But the being shook his head. "No, Kal-El. I came to remind." "Remind who?" "You." And then he raised a single finger. No energy beam. No sound. Just a pulse. The room folded. Not broke, folded like paper. Like it had always been two-dimensional. And suddenly, Superman was not in the hall anymore. He stood on Krypton. But not the Krypton he remembered. No crystal towers. No science council. No Jor-El. This Krypton was alive, breathing, primitive. Fires and temples. Kryptonians chanting. And in the center, a god, wearing a robe that bled stars, raising an infant. "Superman, he is not our son," a voice said from beside him. "Jor-El, but not the one from the Fortress of Solitude." This Jor-El had black eyes. Hollow voice. "He is the key. We send him away not to survive, but to correct our sin." And then he looked directly at Kal-El. "You were never sent to save Earth. You were sent to reset it." The vision shattered like ice. Superman gasped back in the Hall of Justice, on his knees, choking on air. Everyone was gone, even the being. The only thing remaining was his father's voice, echoing in his head. "You are not their hero, Kal-El. You are their final rewrite." Superman didn't scream. He launched. Through the ceiling, through atmosphere, into deep space. Past satellites, past Mars, Jupiter, past the cold edges of memory. Not running, searching. Because something in that vision, something, rang true. And that terrified him more than Doomsday ever did. He found it 5 days later, orbiting a dead sun. An ancient Kryptonian craft, older than the House of El itself. Engraved not in science glyphs, but ritual markings. The doors opened for him. Inside, A nursery. Floating memory crystals hummed lullabies he didn't recognize. And then a voice. Son. He turned, and there he was. Jor-El. But aged. Broken. Clinging to a wall, eyes wide, smiling with cracked teeth. You came back, he wept. Superman didn't move. You sent me to Earth, he said. Why? The figure chuckled. We didn't send you to Earth. His skin split open like parchment, revealing circuitry, history, a map of star systems embedded in flesh. We sent you to wake up the story. Superman stepped back. This wasn't Jor-El. This wasn't anyone. This was a message wrapped in skin. You are not their hero, Kal-El, it repeated. You are their correction. Superman roared. Heat vision melted the entire structure. The sun, behind the wreck, collapsed into ash. And still, the voice followed. Back on Earth, things weren't the same. Lois Lane stared at her reflection for 4 hours. When asked why, she said, I feel like I forgot someone. Daily Planet's globe now bore a new symbol. A spiral. A black sun. Children hummed a tune no one taught them. The Justice League watchtower was offline. And in every mirror in every home, a stranger's face began to flicker, just for a second. But the worst part? No one remembered Superman. Not his name. Not the cape. Not the S. Only a faint echo remained when someone looked to the sky too long and whispered, I swear, I used to believe in something. Superman floated just beyond Earth's pull. Alone. No radios pick him up. No heartbeat matched him. He tried calling Lois. Nothing. He screamed her name into the stars. No answer. Just silence. And then, from the moon's shadow, he appeared again. The Alien Godfather. Walking across space like it was a garden. He smiled, not cruel, not kind. Just inevitable. You remember me now, he said. Superman's eyes burned. His fists clenched. The sun behind him surged. You took my world. The Godfather nodded. No, Kal-El. I took your story. The stars didn't feel like home anymore. They felt like evidence. Superman hovered in the silence between Saturn's rings, his cape frozen, his fists trembling with a rage he couldn't name. He had heard voices before. Visions. Manipulations. Magic. Time rips. But this was worse. The Alien Godfather didn't threaten planets. He rewrote them. He didn't kill heroes. He made them forget why they ever became one. And now Earth had no memory of Clark Kent. No Lois. No Ma Kent. Not even the Fortress of Solitude answered his touch. So he searched for the one thing the Godfather couldn't touch. Proof. He broke through a dead quadrant in Sector 448, a forgotten void where light bent the wrong way. Inside it drifted a Kryptonian temple ship, sealed for eons, coded in ancient Priel script. The glyphs twisted as he approached, changing based on his thoughts. It wasn't just a ship. It was a mirror. And it welcomed him. Doors opened. Air hissed. Gravity adjusted. Inside, everything felt wrong. Familiar shapes. Familiar design. But the angles were off, curved in ways that betrayed physics. And the walls whispered, Kal-El. He walked into the central chamber. Dozens of cryopods, shaped like cradles. And in the center, a floating prism, rotating slowly, glowing with heatless fire. Superman reached for it. The second his hand touched it, the ship locked. And time collapsed. He was 5 again. Back on the Kent farm. Ma Kent calling him in for pie. The smell of corn. Wind chimes. A football in his hands. He blinked, and the sky cracked open. The field was gone. Replaced by fire. Krypton's core. Scientists screaming. Mothers crying. And in the flames stood a baby Kal-El. But not alone. Next to him were thousands of other infants. All identical. And above them, the Alien Godfather stood on a throne of broken suns. You weren't sent alone, he whispered. You were the one who survived. Superman stumbled back. No, I was the only one, he gasped. Jor-El, he chose me. He chose you to be the final fail-safe, the Godfather's voice thundered across memory. when the others failed. When the universe lost its shape, you were the reset. One by one, the babies began to burn, crying out his name, begging him to remember. Superman roared. Heat vision shattered the memoryscape. Reality snapped back. He was on the temple ship again, on fire, but not burning. His body now absorbing heat that wasn't there. His chest glowed, not the S, but the symbol of origin. Back on Earth, Metropolis no longer existed. The buildings remained, but their names didn't. People spoke in tones, not words. No police, no crime, no money, only order. They now called it Eidolon, the city of reflections. Every mirror shimmered with the Godfather's silhouette, tall, robe-draped, face changing every hour. Children pledged to him. Veterans forgot who they fought for. Heroes? They wore his crest. In a broadcast aired simultaneously in every known language, even those long extinct, the Alien Godfather spoke directly into every mind. Stories brought war. I bring silence, and in silence there is peace. In the crowd stood Lois Lane, eyes empty, holding a microphone with no outlet, wearing the symbol of Eidolon on her wrist like jewelry. Someone approached her. "Excuse me, do you know a man named Clark Kent?" She blinked, tilted her head, and whispered, "I used to believe in someone, but I can't remember his name." Superman returned, but no one looked up. Not one person screamed. Not one cell tower pinged. He landed in front of the Daily Planet, or what used to be. Now it was a temple, a library of rewritten truths. He tried to walk in. The doors didn't open. He wasn't recognized. He scanned the city. Not a single life form remembered his aura. He saw a young boy fall from a building. He moved, caught in midair. The boy screamed in terror. "Please don't take me. I pledged. I already pledged." Superman set him down gently. "You're safe." But the boy ran, calling him false echo. In desperation, Superman flew to the only person too paranoid to surrender. Lex Luthor. He burst into Luthor's bunker deep beneath Gotham's underworld. Anti-grav fields slammed into him, but he tanked them. "LEX," he shouted. "It's me, Clark Kal Superman." Luthor turned slowly, calm, bald, composed, wearing robes of the Eidolon clergy. "Hello, stranger," Luthor smiled. Superman's heart sank. "Not you too." Luthor approached, hands folded. "I resisted at first," he said softly. "Oh, I raged. Built machines, counter frequencies, reverse memory waves. I even tried to reprogram my own DNA." Superman stepped forward. "So what happened?" Luthor looked into his eyes. "He didn't destroy my mind. He fulfilled it. He made me realize I was never the villain. I was always the ending." Superman struck the wall behind him in fury. "You traitor." Luthor didn't flinch. He simply said, "You still think this is about war? Kal-El, this is about editing." And on the wall behind Luthor, hundreds of holograms appeared, each one a version of Superman. Different suits, different eras, all forgotten. "He didn't kill you," Luthor whispered. "He erased the parts of you that people stopped believing in, until you became obsolete." Superman left, silent, broken. The sky above him now shimmered with the face of the Alien Godfather, not made of pixels, not broadcast, but woven into the very atmosphere. He looked down, and Earth had begun to change. Mountains rearranged, rivers bent upward. Even the moon rotated to face the same direction always, the temple direction. And no one noticed, because no one remembered anything else. In the void of space, Superman screamed. Not in pain, in defiance. His voice fractured moons. His breath carved new storms on Jupiter. His tears froze into stars. And then, he stopped. He looked into the black, beyond galaxies, to where the Godfather first arrived. And he whispered, "You rewrote my story." Then his eyes turned white. "But I remember the parts you couldn't erase." He blasted into the void, toward the beginning. There was once a time when the name Superman made the air feel lighter. Not anymore. Now the very sound of it sent fear down people's spines. Because the Godfather had made sure of it. Superman stood alone, hovering above Earth's new capital, Idolan Prime. What was once Washington, Beijing, Cairo, and Metropolis had been melted into one sprawling megacity shaped like a giant, symmetrical spiral, coiling around a central black tower that pulsed with memory instead of power. He tried to speak to the people. He floated down, held his hands out, tried to say his name, but holograms immediately flashed across every surface. False God detected. Dream intruder, level 7 threat. The House of El brought war. The Godfather brought story. Children screamed and ran. Adults stared blankly, as if watching a glitch in a video. Some pulled out small obsidian pendants and whispered, "Forgive the echo." Superman clenched his fists. Even sound was slipping away from him. He flew to the Arctic, to the Fortress of Solitude. It was gone. In its place, a mirror field, each shard reflecting a different version of him. One dead, one kneeling, one crying, none fighting. Then he heard his own voice. "You failed, Cal." He spun. A projection of himself stood behind him, but not dressed in red and blue. This Superman wore white, empty, undefined. The Godfather doesn't rewrite history. He reveals the final draft. "You're not real," Superman growled. "Neither are you anymore," it answered. The mirrors shattered, revealing nothing behind them. Not air, not walls, just absence. Back on Idolan Prime, the statue of memory was unveiled. Not Lady Liberty, not any known hero. A giant, towering figure, robed in threads of stardust, held no weapon, just a pen in one hand, and in the other a broken S symbol. As the people watched, an announcement echoed from sky speakers. Let all remember the final enemy, the one who kept us inside broken stories. Kal-El of the House of El, the myth of conflict, the worshipper of pain, the lover of identity. And then the crowd repeated, "The House of El must die." Again, "The House of El must die." Superman, watching from the shadows, whispered, "No, the story must live." He descended underground, into the last cave untouched by the Godfather's rewriting wave. Deep below Earth's crust, Project Soul Zero waited. It was Luthor's contingency, created before he surrendered. A chamber filled with archived truths, newspapers, memories, original DNA strands of key heroes, unaltered timelines, and one capsule. Inside it, Kara Zor-El, Supergirl, frozen, faint heartbeat, preserved. Because even the Godfather couldn't erase what never woke up. Superman placed his hand on the glass. "You're my last chance, Kara." But the chamber trembled, and a voice, now hauntingly familiar, filled the cavern. Truth archived is still truth silenced. The Godfather's face formed from the metal walls. Skinless. A whisper of shadow and authority. "Why do you persist, Kal-El?" Superman stood tall. "Because memory matters. Memory is a weapon, and I have disarmed your kind." Superman fired heat vision, but the walls bent the light into words. Written in Kryptonian. "You are the error." Superman screamed and punched the chamber, sending shockwaves through the planet's crust. The Godfather didn't flinch. "You want to save her?" he asked. "Then die, and let her wake in peace." Superman escaped with the capsule, breaking into deep space, hiding Kara within a solar vault near Venus. But time was running out. And Earth. Earth had crowned a new Superman. His name was Echo-El, a hybrid clone, part Superman, part Godfather code. He wore the S, but upside down. Not red and blue, but silver and black, trimmed in memory strands. He didn't fly. He floated. He didn't punch. He corrected. His power? Rewriting fate. He appeared on every channel, welcoming Earth to its final age. And then he made the announcement that broke the cosmos. Superman is dead. Kal-El is a virus. And tomorrow, the last trial begins. Across the stars, old enemies stirred. Darkseid, Brainiac, Mongol, even the Guardians of OA. But none of them dared move, because even they had begun to forget what they hated about Kal-El. That's how deep the Godfather's influence had spread. Even villains were losing their purpose. Superman returned to Earth in secret. He sought out Bruce Wayne, or what remained. The Batcave was shattered. But inside, on the old stone altar, was one thing still intact. A letter, scrawled in Bruce's handwriting. If you're reading this, Clark, it means you weren't erased. It means the story still resists. Remember this. You don't have to fight him. You have to out-narrate him. Batman. Superman folded the letter, breathing it in. The last memory of a friend. And then the signal came. The trial had begun. A massive black ring formed around Earth's orbit, 10,000 kilometers wide, made of broken timelines. Inside it, the courtroom of Eidolon. Billions watched. Echo-L stood in the center. Across from him stepped Superman, but not in his classic suit. He now wore gray, the color of forgotten dreams. His cape? Ripped. His crest? A hand-drawn symbol of the House of El, with the words, "This is not the end," etched in Kryptonian. A voice boomed across galaxies. The Godfather himself. This is the final moment. The final trial. If Kal-El wins, let all story collapse. If Echo-L wins, let peace endure. Superman raised his hand and said only one thing. I don't need to win. I just need the world to remember. The courtroom ring orbiting Earth wasn't built for metal. It was built from forgotten timelines. Each panel, each pillar, each floating stair, made from scraps of stories that had been erased. Entire universes compressed into shards of memory. And now, in the heart of that ring, stood two beings. Echo-L, the rewritten son of Krypton, draped in silver memory thread, hovering perfectly still. And across from him, Kal-El, the original, weakened, tattered, fading. Superman didn't glow anymore. He didn't shine. He remembered. And somehow that made him dangerous again. The voice of the Alien Godfather boomed across all frequencies. Let this be the last narrative conflict. Let the imposter fall. Let the page turn forever. Echo-L raised his hand. The stars behind him twisted into text, rewriting gravity, time, even silence. He spoke, and reality bent. You are the Echo now, Kal-El. Superman closed his eyes. He didn't counter. He just whispered, Martha, Kentucky. And the courtroom froze. Because someone somewhere remembered that name. A grandmother on Earth. A farmer in Kansas. A boy watching the stars. Echo-L's power faltered. The stars rippled. Superman stepped forward. Each step he took reawakened something. Not power, but connection. With every breath, the sound of laughter returned to Earth. With every heartbeat, the smell of Kansas fields drifted back through the wind. With every word, names came back. Lois. Jonathan. Bruce. Diana. The people watching from Earth looked up. Tears ran down their faces, even though they didn't know why. A child clutched his chest. I think I drew him before. Superman's suit began to change. Not because he powered up, because the world started to believe again. His symbol? Not an S, but a new crest. The glyph of remembrance. Echo-L screamed. He launched forward with cosmic force, punching through time echoes, tearing open the trial arena. You are the lie, he shouted. But Superman didn't block. He embraced. And for a second, Echo-L saw it. The farm, the dog, the books, the sun. The moments before he was edited. He dropped to his knees, shaking. What am I? He whispered. Superman stood over him. You're me, but broken. Let's fix it together. But the Godfather would not allow that. The skies shattered. The Godfather's true form descended, not through space, but through belief itself. He emerged as everyone's father, everyone's God, everyone's fear. He grabbed Superman by the throat. You dare undo my silence. But Superman, even as his skin cracked, smiled. You taught them to forget. I taught them to feel. And from Earth, voices rose. 1,000,000, then 1,000,000,000, chanting one word. Superman. The Godfather screamed. The courtroom ring crumbled. Echo-L disintegrated into code. And Superman began to glow. But this time, not from the yellow sun. From the stories themselves. his cape wrapped in journal entries, his emblem made of childhood sketches, his body sculpted by hope. He flew forward, faster than light, faster than editing, faster than forgetting, and punched the Godfather so hard he knocked a new truth into the universe. A hero is never deleted. The Godfather didn't bleed. He broke, like stone remembering it used to be fire. Chunks of memory peeled off him. Ancient lies, stolen timelines, voices of forgotten heroes. He roared a soundless roar, because truth had no echo left to twist. And still, Superman rose. Not with vengeance, not even with victory, but with a kind of stillness that made galaxies pause. He hovered above the shattered trial ring, his body glowing with every story Earth ever whispered in the dark. Behind him, the ghosts of every Superman that had ever been imagined. Beside him, you watching, remembering. You broke the silence, the Godfather rasped, flickering between 1,000 forms: father, monster, machine, star. And you forgot one thing, he growled. This universe was never yours. Superman floated closer, eyes steady. I never claimed it. He placed his hand on the Godfather's chest. But I earned it. And in that touch, he poured every moment, not of strength, but of meaning. The first time Jonathan Kent showed him a book. The first hug from Lois. The first time he didn't know how to save someone, and tried anyway. The Godfather screamed. Because belief was the one code he couldn't edit. All across Earth, reality peeled back like fog. Statues of the Godfather crumbled. The name Eidolon vanished from screens, replaced by Metropolis, Gotham, Hope. The people stopped chanting. They remembered. Mothers clutched photos they didn't know they still had. Kids stared at the sky and whispered, "He's real." In one final moment, the Godfather tried to run. He collapsed into a star-shaped rift, tried to become untouchable narrative again. But Superman followed. He didn't fly. He spoke. One last word, truth. And with it, the rift collapsed. The Godfather was gone. Not destroyed. Understood. And that was worse for him. Superman emerged in Earth's upper atmosphere. No cape. No crown. Just a man who refused to be forgotten. Below him, cheers rose. Phones recorded. Children screamed his name. Lois Lane stood on the roof of the Daily Planet, eyes full of tears. "Clark," she whispered. He landed, looked into her eyes, and smiled. "Took me long enough." She slapped him. Then she kissed him. Then the world healed. And in a small vault near Venus, a heartbeat accelerated. Kara Zor-El opened her eyes and whispered, "I remember." The end. The greatest battle in history. Superman versus Alien Godfather.